The 2023 NFL Draft has concluded, which means only one thing. Team by team draft grades are here. Tonight, you will hear the full draft classes for all 32 teams with our grades and analysis for every class. Welcome to our annual NFL Draft Recap edition of TXN Sports World. Hello, friends, and welcome to our 2023 NFL Draft Recap edition of TXN Sports World. I am your host, Anthony Florio, joined by good old MF Michael Fletcher. We are awaiting the presence of Michael Bullock. If he comes in, we'll catch him up on what he missed. If not, then we'll hope to have him back with us tomorrow night for the Cerebral Smack Talk. Let's not waste any always start off offensive Gaines, the second offensive lineman from UCLA, Clayton Tune, quarterback of Houston, Owen Pappoe, linebacker, Auburn, Keitrell Clark, cornerback from Louisville, and Dante Stills, a defensive tackle from West Virginia. Loaded with picks, the Cardinals mostly did a fine job matching need with proper prospect value. Johnson is decently high floor, and his length/athleticism blend made him a tantalizing prospect. Ojulari is an advanced rusher, but a lesser athlete. Picked a bit early. Injury question marks with Williams and Wilson, who have a fair amount of upside. Although I wasn't really enamored with Williams 2022 before his injury, but I love the Gaines, Tune, Pappoe, Clark, Stills 5-pick stretch to finish. So my overall grade for the Arizona Cardinals is a B-. So not much more to say here. So MF, come on in. Another NFL Draft Recap show is here and now. And let's get our first grade of the night from the Arizona Cardinals.
Arizona did all right. I thought they did pretty good. Like you said, at the very beginning, not the best out there. However, they did bounce back with some really good, strong decisions a little bit later on in the draft. And yeah, I'll give you that solid B. I thought it was a B more than anything else. And yeah, so let's move on to the next team.
And the next team is the Atlanta Falcons. And here are their picks. Bijan Robinson, running back out of Texas. Matthew Bergeron, offensive tackle, Syracuse. Zach Harrison, an edge from Ohio State. Clark Phillips, a cornerback out of Utah. DeMarco Hellams, a safety out of Alabama. And Jovan Gwynn, and an OC from South Carolina. So, MF, your grades for the Atlanta Falcons.
When it comes to Atlanta, look, I'm gonna say this. I know a lot of people were saying, "Oh, the Bijan Robinson is going to be a bad decision more than anything else." I disagree. I love that Atlanta got Bijan Robinson, and as a matter of fact, I thought this was a very good draft for them. I'm actually going between A- and B+ for the Atlanta Falcons. I don't really have like a surefire spot. I'm leaning more A-, but I thought Atlanta did really well. So, Anthony, it's yours.
When it comes to the Robinson pick and overall, it's not about the prospect. It was about the position, its value, and replaceability later in the draft. Bergeron has the movement skills to be a quality tackle or maybe a guard, but his losses are ugly because of a lack of balance, and that's worrisome. Harrison can be an awesome 3-down rusher. My main concern with Phillips is very limited athletic profile. I love the Robinson pick, yes, but I'm not really crazy about the other ones. So this is a disagreement here. My grade for Atlanta is a solid C for Atlanta. So we move on now to the Baltimore Ravens. And here are their selections. They selected Zay Flowers, a wide receiver out of Boston College. Trenton Simpson, a linebacker out of Clemson. Tavius Robinson, an edge out of Ole Miss. Kyu Blue Kelly, cornerback out of Stanford. Malisala Almave Lalu, offensive lineman from Oregon, and Andrew Voorhees, an inside-outside linebacker from USC. Flowers was a smart ad amidst what ultimately became an unprecedented first-round run on receivers. He's short but a complete receiver. Simpson was picked at the correct value and has some upside because of his explosiveness. He just needs to learn how to play linebacker more soundly. Robinson has some upside because of his athletic profile, yet he's an older prospect who wasn't very productive in college. Amave Lalo was a favorite tackle guard prospect with a Ravens-like power blocking mentality. I wasn't nearly as high on Voorhees as the masses, but in general, I thought the Ravens did solid work. So I'm going to give them a solid B. Solid B for the Baltimore Ravens, who, of course, they made some big moves over the last few weeks. They signed Odell Beckham. Signed a big extension to stay with them. So I think we got ourselves a dark horse in the AFC with Baltimore now. Your thoughts?
I tend to agree with it, but I kind of felt like it was fine. It was a B for me. I really thought they did a really good job. Yes, getting Lamar Jackson, locking that up permanently is the right thing more than anything else. And I really got nothing more to say. So, Anthony, it's yours.
And now we move on to my team, the Buffalo Bills, your 3-time reigning, defending, undisputed AFC East Division champions. And here's their draft. Their selections were Dalton Kincaid, a tight end out of Utah, O'Cyrus Torrence, an offensive guard from Florida, Dorian Williams, a linebacker from Tulane, Justin Shorter, a wide receiver from Florida, Nick Broker, offensive lineman from Ole Miss, and Alex Austin, cornerback out of Oregon State. All right, MF, my team, how'd they do?
They did pretty good. I actually liked it. Solid B. I thought they did a really good job. I thought some of the picks that they did filled the needs that they needed to get. There was some guys out there that maybe they could have filled a little more better, but the thing was, in the position that they were in, they went more value than flash and sizzle. So no, at the end of the day, I thought they did a really good job. So no, solid B. It was a B for me. Buffalo did pretty good, Anthony. So you should be pretty proud of what they did. I thought they did an all right job.
I am indeed. The Bills smartly prioritized helping JA-17, Josh Allen, over defensive linemen. Kincaid comes with a little risk because of his age, injury, and only 1 year of major productivity, but he was the best natural separator at the loaded tight end position in this class. Torrance is a powerful yet subtly nimble guard, and I love the Williams selection in the 3rd round. Even though he's short, he has immense length, battles through blockers outstandingly, and is an asset in coverage. Shorter doesn't provide yards after carry, but an intimidating specimen and wins on the outside down the field because of his size and super reliable hands. B+ from my team, the Buffalo Bills. So with that, we move on to our next team. That is the Carolina Panthers, who, oh, by the way, had the number 1 pick in the entire draft. And they used it and used it as only they could. Bryce Young, the quarterback out of Alabama, Jonathan Mingo, wide receiver out of Ole Miss, DJ Johnson, an edge from Oregon, Chandler Zavala, offensive guard from NC State, and Jamie Robinson, a safety out of Florida State. Yes, Bryce Young, very high in this quarterbacking class. He was right around my top 3, along with Anthony Richardson and C.J. Stroud, but I still viewed him. I thought he was one of the premier prospects in this class. Mingo was picked earlier than I had thought, yet he was a logical DJ Moore replacement. He's a light version of him in a nearly identical frame. Johnson is an athletic flyer who's very unpolished, and I love the final 2 selections of Zavala and Robinson. Instant, ready-to-go starters. B- for the Carolina Panthers. MF, you're great.
I kind of disagree with it. I'm actually going with a B. I'm going a little higher. I thought they did a good job. Like you said, getting the number one overall pick, you can't miss with that. So they did a good job with that. Then you had Mingo. So for me, I didn't mind either one of those. I thought they did a really good job. And yeah, there's really nothing more for me to add there. So Anthony, it's yours.
And move on to our next team, and that is the Chicago Bears. And here are their selections. There's quite a few of them. Darnell Wright, offensive tackle, Tennessee. Gervon Dexter, defensive tackle, Florida. Tyreek Stevenson, cornerback out of Miami. Zach Pickens, defensive tackle from South Carolina. Roschon Johnson, a running back out of Texas. Tyler Scott, wide receiver, Cincinnati. Noah Sewell, a linebacker out of Oregon. Terrell Smith, cornerback out of Minnesota. Travis Bell, defensive tackle out of Kennesaw State. And Kendall Williamson, a safety from Stanford. All right, MF, do we have good news or bad news for our dear friend Matt Ward?
Actually, really good news if you think about it. I got to give them an A minus. I thought they did a really good job with the way that this went down. So for me, I was thoroughly impressed with what they did. For me, one of the few winners of the draft. So yeah, A minus for me. Anthony, it's yours.
From concentration drops, he could be the steal of the draft at receiver. And Sewell and Smith are athletic specimens with ultra physical styles. I got it a smidgen lower. B plus is my grade for the Chicago Bears. Next up, the Cincinnati Bengals. And here's who they selected. Myles Murphy, an edge out of Clemson. DJ Turner, a cornerback out of Michigan. DJ Turner, a cornerback out of Michigan. Jordan Battle, safety out of Alabama. Charlie Jones, wide receiver, Purdue. Chase Brown, a running back from Illinois. Andre Iosivas, a wide receiver from Princeton. Brad Robbins, the punter of Michigan. And DJ Ivy, cornerback from Miami. Murphy didn't really do it for me on film relative to where he was picked, but it was an understandable selection late in round one for Cincinnati with the long-term viability of a premium position. Turner is a well-rounded, supercharged cornerback. I like that pick a little more. Battle, Jones, and Brown were grabbed earlier than I expected. Only the latter pick comes with noticeable upside. Iosivas is a Project Y. He did show Christian Watson vibes on film. Nothing special about this class. Nothing brutal either. B minus for the Cincinnati Bengals. MF, your grade.
I partially disagree, Anthony. I gotta give it a solid B. I thought they did it pretty good. It wasn't really the most home run worthiness, but I thought the value that they got is a lot more better. And plus, with some of the guys that they're gonna have to deal with, some of the gaping holes, obviously you want to fill enough of a position so that they can fill that to help out Joe Burrow. And then you got Jamar Chase that needs a little help. And then you got some really good defensive guys that they brought in. Some of them will not be starters. Some of them are projects. I get that. But I do believe that Cincinnati set themselves up pretty nicely for the future. So I disagree. I give it a solid B for them. So, Floyo, it's yours.
All right, MF, and you'll be leading off on the other team from Ohio, the Cleveland Browns. And here's who they selected. Cedric Tillman, wide receiver, Tennessee. Siaki Ika, defensive tackle out of Baylor. DeJuan Jones, offensive tackle, Ohio State. Isaiah McGuire, an edge from Missouri. Dorian Thompson Robinson, the quarterback out of UCLA. Cameron Mitchell, cornerback from Northwestern. And Luke Whippler, an OC from Ohio State. MF, Cleveland Browns, how'd they look to you?
All right. I really like the Cedric Tillman move. I love the Sika Aka. I love that move. I thought that was going to be good. Getting DeJuan Jones in the fourth round is actually got a massive pickup. That really is going to help them. And even the center, Whipple, in the sixth round could be a steal. I didn't understand the drafting of a quarterback. I really feel like that was kind of a reach, and I feel like why do you need that when you got Deshaun Watson and you also got Elijah Moore now part of the team? I kind of did not get that. So it was good, not great. B plus for the Cleveland Browns. Florio, it's yours.
Right around the same boat with you. Not picking until round 3 is always a challenge, and the Browns handled themselves well despite the late start. Tillman was selected a bit early, but was a relatively unique wide receiver in this class who plays with all the physicality indicated by his measurements. Ika didn't really do it for me on field and tested poorly. A beefy nose tackle was needed on this defense, though. The Jones, McGuire, and Thompson Robinson selections in the middle of the draft were stellar. Bright future for McGuire if deployed as an inside-outside rusher. Nose tackle out of Michigan. Luke Schoonmaker, tight end, Michigan. Dermarvian Overshone, linebacker, Texas. Viliami Fihoko, an edge out of San Jose State. Asim Richards, offensive lineman from North Carolina. Eric Scott, cornerback from Southern Mississippi State. Deuce Vaughn, running back, Kansas State. And Jalen Brooks, wide receiver, South Carolina. Spotty success for the Cowboys in this draft. Smith's an athletic specimen, and more girth on the interior of the defensive front was needed. It's hard for me to be convinced selecting a nose tackle in round 1 is ever worth it. Schoonmaker worries me because of his age, only 1 year of essentially any receiving productivity and minimal yards after catch ability. However, the Overshone and Fihoko selections were strong, especially Fihoko, and Richards has swing tackle value. Vaughn late was a sneaky good find too. What the Cowboys did later was better than earlier in the draft. So, rounded out, C+ for the Dallas Cowboys. MF, you're great.
Partial disagreement, B- for me, and it's because of the late round picks. Because early on, whoa, Dallas, what were you doing? I mean, I almost had a feeling of like those Cowboy fans that like, come on, we need something different. You know, they need a running back, they need wide receivers, and I really felt like they were missing left and right. And there was a pretty good crop of receivers that were out there early in the rounds that they easily could have grabbed, and they didn't. I really didn't like the Schoonmaker pick. I really thought that they did well, but they really got going later on in the draft. Second round, third, like once you got into the second day, that's when Dallas started to find themselves. Day 1, not so great. Day 2, it was a mixed bag. Once you got into day 3, that's when Dallas started finding prime real estate, and they started to really do some good runs here. So for me, I gotta give Dallas a B-. That would be my rating for it. So Anthony, it's yours.
All right, next up, we move on to my Uncle Ed's team, the Denver Broncos. All right, Uncle, here you go. This is how your team selected. Marvin Mims, wide receiver for Oklahoma. Drew Sanders, an edge/linebacker from Arkansas. Riley Moss, a cornerback out of Iowa. J.L. Skinner, safety, Boise State. And Alex Forsythe, an OC from Oregon. MF, is it good news or bad news for Uncle Ed and his Denver Broncos?
Oh, Uncle Ed, you might want to turn off right about now. All right. I thought the Marvin Mims move was a surprise. I honestly didn't think that he should have been that high up. He's a second-round pick in my eyes. He should not have been first round. For Drew Sanders, it might be he is a potential first rounder with some value there. I really don't have anything bad to say. Here is the problem that I got. They've gone 4 years in a row without taking an O-line guy in the first 2 rounds. That's a major problem for me. What's the one liability that Denver has? No offensive line. And yet, there was a good amount of them, and you couldn't even grab one of them? Honestly? Truthfully? C- for the Denver Broncos. Florio, it's yours.
I disagree wholeheartedly. Not just because it's my uncle's team, but I got to be honest here. I got to be the man who tells it like it is. This is probably going to be our most heated disagreement of the night, hopefully. Sean Payton and George Patton had one hell of a class despite the limited draft capital. Mims at 63 was nice value. He has serious capabilities as a vertical threat and bounces around after the catch. Sanders at 67, highway robbery, especially if Denver lets him rush the passer on the edge. Could high-level producers in the secondary, and Forsythe is a rock in the run game. From top to bottom, this was a great, awesome draft for the Denver Broncos. I'm sorry, MF. It's an A- for me. They were one of my winners. So with that, we move on to our next team, which is the Detroit Lions. And here's who they selected. Jahmyr Gibbs, running back, Alabama. Jack Campbell, linebacker, Iowa. Sam Laporta. I don't see his position or college, but Sam Laporta selected. Brian Branch, a safety from Alabama. Hendon Hooker, the quarterback out of Tennessee. Broderick Martin, defensive tackle, Western Kentucky. Colby Sorsdahl, offensive lineman from William & Mary. And Antoine Green, wide receiver out of North Carolina. Dan Campbell and company took us on an espresso-fueled roller coaster ride in this draft. Gibbs is my kind of back. Silky smooth and fast. Really, really fast. That doesn't mean picking him at number 12 overall was a good idea, although being after a trade back helped. Jack Campbell is a stud. Contrary to the masses, he's worthy of being a middle of the first round pick. Laporta and Branch were tremendous finds in round 2. Hooker is a strange long-term option at quarterback given his age. I had him lower. I was lower on him than most, but mainly because of his injury at the end. And Martin is a monstrous specimen with tentacles for arms, but doesn't have the athleticism to be a pass rushing presence in the NFL. But I love the Antoine Green selection in round 7. He will outplay that draft position. It's another A- for me for the Detroit Lions. MF, you're great.
You know what? I hate to do this to you, but second disagreement of the night. B plus. No, they did good. I was gonna say they did good. I'm not as sold as you are on those picks. I really thought that they kind of, they did what they needed it to do. They did a pretty good job with it. I thought they could have done a lot more better in certain elements, but I'm not gonna be too harsh about it. I thought they did pretty well. So no, B plus for me. Anthony, it's yours.
And we move on to the Lions, one of the Lions' many heated rivals in that NFC North, the Green Bay Packers. And here's who they selected with their picks. Lucas Van Ness, an edge out of Iowa. Luke Musgrave, a tight end out of Oregon State. Jaden Reed, wide receiver, Michigan State. Tucker Kraft, tight end, South Dakota State. Colby Wooden, defensive lineman from Auburn. Sean Clifford, the quarterback out of Penn State. Dontavian Wicks, wide receiver from Virginia. Carl Brooks, an edge/defensive lineman from Bowling Green. Anders Carlson, the kicker from Auburn. Carrington Valentine, cornerback from Kentucky. Lou Nichols, running back, Western Michigan. Anthony Johnson, defensive back out of Iowa State. And Grant Dubose, a wide receiver out of Charlotte. MF, you're great for the Green Bay Packers.
Solid B for Green Bay, but I do got a major criticism. Why on earth did you not get Jackson Smith and Jigba? Why? He was right there for the taking. And here's the thing. What is the one thing that Green Bay's been asking for the longest time? Get help for the quarterback. You have a great wide receiver from the Ohio State University in Jackson Smith-Njigba that is a game changer. I know it because following the Big Ten, this is the game. These are the games that I normally follow all the time. And this guy was flashing off the screen every single time for the Ohio State. And as much as I hate this guy because he's Ohio State, but just to know that you had a chance to take him in that draft that early and pass, oh no. I would have slaughtered Green Bay. Easily slaughtered them. But I'm not, because I thought they did a very good job after the fact. So I thought they were solid. It's a B for me for Green Bay. But that is the one major what were you thinking moment of the night. So Florio, it's yours.
Despite and Reed, boy howdy, I love his game, man. I mean, I was probably feeling generous. I'll tell you what. I mean, they had to get a quarterback because Aaron Rodgers is not there anymore, so they had to get a quarterback. And Sean Clifford, middle of the road guy. Brooks is a stud. Second most pressures in all of college football last season. Can win up and down the line. Dubose and Johnson are explosive specimens at their respective positions. Don't sleep on Valentine. He's an ultra feisty, hyper sudden perimeter corner either. Go grab a spotted cow or two. Brian Gutekunst. You earned them with this monstrous haul. Another one of my winners, A- for the Green Bay Packers. Next up, it's the Houston Texans, who had the second and third picks in the draft. With their number 2 pick, they selected C.J. Stroud, the quarterback out of Ohio State. And then right behind at 3, they selected Will Anderson, an edge from Alabama. I love this name, Juice Scruggs, inside-outside linebacker, Penn State. Nathaniel Dell, a wide receiver from Houston. Dylan Horton, an edge from TCU. Henry Tuo, linebacker from Alabama. Jarrett Patterson, offensive lineman from Notre Dame. Xavier Hutchinson, wide receiver out of Iowa State. And Brandon Hill, the safety out of Pittsburgh. Franchise-altering draft here for the Texans, and after swinging for the fences earlier and making 2 quality selections in 2 crucial positions, things went awry for the most part. Scruggs, Horton, and Tuo were all picked a round or 2 early, but the Dell selection saved the middle of Houston's draft. Hutchinson just might become the steal of this Texans class after round 1. C+ is my grade for the Houston Texans. So MF, C+ is my grade for Houston. What says you? All right. I'm guessing MF probably stepped away for a minute, so we will wait for MF to.
Sorry about that. I had something ready and I just forgot to mute my mic. My bad.
That's all right. Houston.
I was gonna say that. First off, what they did in day 1, getting the second and the third pick, coming up from 12 to 3, was a stroke of genius.
Yes.
They absolutely nailed it. First 2 picks, A+.
Yep.
I thought they were on the verge of winning the draft. And then, later on, they kind of got a couple of picks that was a little head scratchy. And I was like, was that really a smart idea? B+ for me. B+ for the Houston Texans. Anthony, it's yours.
Staying in the AFC South, the Indianapolis Colts are next up. They had the number 4 overall pick. And with that pick, they selected Anthony Richardson, the quarterback out of Florida. In addition to him, they also selected Julius Brents, a cornerback out of Kansas State, Josh Downs, wide receiver, North Carolina, Blake Freeland, offensive tackle, BYU, Adi Tomiwa Adebawori, defensive tackle out of Northwestern, Darius Rush, cornerback, South Carolina, Daniel Scott, safety out of California, Will Mallory, tight end, Miami, Evan Hull, running back, Northwestern, Titus Leo, linebacker from Wagner, Jalen Jones, cornerback, Texas A&M, and Jake Witt, offensive tackle out of Northern Michigan. MF, how did Indy do?
A minus. I called them one of the winners. And the thing is, they needed a quarterback really early, and the honest truth was it was either going to be Anthony Richardson or Will Levis. Now there was a chance that if CJ Stroud would have fallen, maybe they land on him. But CJ went 2, that opened the door, and as a matter of fact, there was a lot of rumors about maybe Indy getting out of that number 4 pick, trading it away for something different. But they decided to stay at 4, and to me, they got the most obvious guy they needed to get. Anthony Richardson is gonna be a bona fide star for the Indianapolis Colts. I really believe that this was the steal of the draft, and Indy got him. It was a great pickup, and as a matter of fact, thanks to the Pat McAfee draft spectacular, he got to talk with the general manager of the Indianapolis Colts, and even the guy, the GM for the Colts, basically said, we were targeting Anthony Richardson for the last couple months, from after the combine and everything else, that basically he was our guy. There was nobody else that was out there. There was nobody that we were really looking at, that if Richardson would have fell to us at 4, it's a wrap. Sure enough, he fell right at their laps. They didn't even hesitate to put that card in, to send that card to the commissioner, Roger Goodell, to make the announcement. They basically did everything that they needed to do. They did their due diligence. And at the end of the day, I thought they did a very good job. They got some really good guys with some elite measurables that's coming down. With everything that's coming up, to me, it was a home run. A minus for the Indianapolis Colts. I thought they did a very good job in the draft. Floyo, it's yours.
I think this is the first time tonight we actually have the same exact grade. It's also an A minus for me when it comes to the Indianapolis Colts. The Colts had a very Chris Ballard draft, and it once again was an athleticism-centric haul for Indianapolis. In the past, Ballard has mostly disappointed in the draft because he zeroed in on big-time athletes who are so incredibly raw. This year, he found quality football players as well. Richardson, very high on my list, so the draft started with a bang. Then Ballard and company did a marvelous job constructing a draft class with Richardson in mind while adding much-needed pieces to the defense, and went on a heater on day 3. From Adebawore in the 4th round to Mallory in the 5th, Downs, Mallory, and Hull will expedite Richardson's growth, and right as he's coming into his own, Freeland should be ready to go at one of the tackle spots. I had the exact same grade. I think this is our first true grade agreement of the night. A minus for me as well for the Indianapolis Colts. Staying in the AFC South, the team that came from out of nowhere to win the division this past season, the Jacksonville Jaguars. And here's who they selected. Anton Harrison, offensive tackle, Oklahoma. Brenton Strange, tight end, Penn State. Tank Bigsby, running back, Auburn. Ventrell Miller, linebacker, Florida. Tyler Lacey, defensive tackle, Oklahoma. Yasir Abdullah, linebacker, Louisville. Antonio Johnson, safety, Texas A&M. Parker Washington, wide receiver, Penn State. Christian Braswell, cornerback, Rutgers. Eric Hallett, defensive back, Pittsburgh. Cooper Hodges, offensive tackle, App State. That's Appalachian State. Raymond Voheshek, defensive tackle, North Carolina. and Derek Parrish, an edge from Houston. The early picks of Harrison and Strange saved this grade from dipping into the C range. After the Cam Robinson news, Harrison was a smart selection. It was a Trent Baalke special draft with a clear emphasis on trading down some good picks. And some good picks like Bigsby and Washington later, they will help the offense right away. And a litany of mostly off-the-radar selections late in the draft. Keep an eye on the last pick, Parrish from Houston. Explosive, decently advanced rusher. B- for the Jacksonville Jaguars. MF, what says you?
For the second time tonight, and for the second consecutive time, we agree. B-. Yeah, you absolutely are right. It was surprising how until the fourth round, how Jacksonville basically talk about the pass rush. But the thing is that the first three picks, that they did use was for an offensive tackle, a tight end, and a running back. All that gonna have key roles and is actually gonna help out Trevor Lawrence. Smart move. One way to please your quarterback by giving him weapons to work around. A guy who's gonna cover him and two new little play toys that he's gonna have an opportunity to utilize in that offense. And of course, Lawrence had a breakout year last year. Now he's starting to look like that number one overall pick from years ago, as it looks like he's starting to look like what Jacksonville thought he was going to be all along. That superstar that was the national champion from Clemson, the Heisman Trophy winner. We're starting to see Trevor Lawrence come into his own. And I believe after this draft, he might even take that next step to be, one of the top guys in the league. So with that said, I said B-, and Floyo, it's back to you.
And starting off on our next team, the reigning, defending, undisputed Super Bowl champions, the Kansas City Chiefs. And here's who they selected with their picks. Felix. G. Rice, wide receiver, SMU. Wanye Morris, the offensive tackle from Oklahoma. No, that's not the boy. That's not the guy from Boys to Men either. It's another Wanye Morris. Trust me. He's an offensive tackle from Oklahoma. Chamari Connor, defensive back, Virginia Tech. B.J. Thompson, an edge from Stephen F. Austin. Keandre Coburn, defensive tackle out of Texas. And Nick Jones, defensive back from Ball State. All right, MF, how do the Super Bowl champs do?
Oh, okay. I liked the good pick at the very beginning for the top of the draft. I thought that was good because they had to replace Frank Clark. That was one of the top priorities. And even the Rice move seemed like a reach in the second round. But the most important thing for them was that they had was to address the receiving core, and they really didn't do that. And some of the picks were kind of lackluster, to say the very least. I hate to do it, but I'm going to do it. C for the Kansas City Chiefs. Not the best draft, at least in my opinion. So middle of the road, C is my grade. Florio, what's yours?
FAU and Rice were home run picks early on for the Chiefs, and those selections weigh the most with this rating here. After that, the sizzle wore off for Kansas City, although I liked what general manager Brett Veach and company did positionally throughout. The trade up for Connor was too much, and Thompson has traits galore, but is a developmental rusher selected in round 5 when other quality edge rushers were still available. Coburn was picked at proper value and has power in his hands. He just seriously lacks explosion and closing speed to be a consistent pocket collapser. It's a small disagreement. I got it a smidgen higher. B- for the Super Bowl champs. So we stay in their division, and now we go into the first of our two LA teams. First up, the Los Angeles Chargers. And here's who they selected. Quentin Johnson, wide receiver out of TCU. Tuli Tuipulotu.
Anthony? Are you sure it's the Chargers and not the Raiders?
No, this is how I have it on my list.
Because I got the Raiders next after.
I think it's because it's LA and then LV. That's probably why.
Okay.
So,
Because for some odd reason I got Vegas on my list. I got Vegas first, then I got the two LA teams.
all right. So, but we're gonna go off my list here. Go with the LA Chargers. They selected with their picks Quentin Johnston, a wide receiver out of TCU, Tuli Tuipulotu, an edge out of USC, Dayon Henley, a linebacker out of Washington State, Darius Davis, a wide receiver out of TCU, Jordan McFadden, offensive tackle Clemson, Scott Matlock, defensive tackle out of Boise State, and Max Duggan, the quarterback out of TCU, who took TCU all the way to the college football playoff national championship game this past season before they ended up like John Cena against Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam 14. So we know the story. So MF, I know it's a little out of order on your end, but LA Chargers, your thoughts?
B minus. I thought they did a really good job. I thought they did a solid moves. Getting the TCU project, Quentin Johnson. That was a good little move that you wanted to get, and then to get the USC pass rusher. That was really a nice little thing to do. Then, of course, to do the final move, to get, you even said it, Max Duggan, who should easily become the backup quarterback for Justin Herbert. It's going to be fine. So, no, I thought this was a B minus draft for them. I thought they did an all right job. Nothing more to say. Anthony, it's yours.
The Chargers got involved in the unprecedented receiver run in the first round and picked one of my top receivers in this class, Johnston, at 21 overall. Fun, vertical, and vitally yards after catch weapon for Justin Herbert. Tuipulotu has inside-out flexibility and understands how to win at the point of attack with his hands. Many young rushers don't. Henley is exactly the type of off-ball linebacker the Chargers needed, and his athleticism and spatial awareness indicate he'll hit the ground running in the NFL. After that, not as fantastic as the starter, but GM Tom Telesco did work in this draft. Another small disagreement. You had it as a B minus. I have it as a B plus for the LA Chargers. Next up, the other Los Angeles team, the Los Angeles Rams. And here's who they selected. Steve Avila, inside-outside linebacker out of TCU. Byron Young, an edge out of Tennessee. Kobe Turner, defensive tackle from Wake Forest. Stetson Bennett, the quarterback from your reigning, defending college football playoff national champion, Made in Georgia Bulldogs. Nick Hampton, edge from Appalachian State. Warren McClendon, offensive tackle, also from the college football playoff national champion, Made in Georgia Bulldogs. Puka Nacua, wide receiver, BYU. Trey Tomlinson, cornerback, TCU. O'Shawn Mathis, an edge from Nebraska. Zach Evans, running back, Ole Miss. Ethan Evans, the punter from Wingate. Jason Taylor II, safety of Oklahoma State. And Desjuan Johnson, defensive tackle from Toledo. A lot of picks. The Rams are now welcoming of draft picks as they made 14 selections, which in all honesty are needed on this roster. This class was marked with high highs and low lows. Avila has the mobility to star at guard or most likely center in Sean McVay's zone blocking scheme, and he's ready to play right now. Young is a burst-based outside rusher who didn't get to the quarterback as frequently as his explosiveness would indicate and is an older prospect. Turner, Hampton, and McClendon were all fine selections. Tomlinson can start in the slot immediately, and he'll drive small, quick receivers crazy because he can match their suddenness, and he naturally attacks the football. Be sure to monitor Mr. Irrelevant as well. Fun, super slippery inside rusher. Solid B is my grade for the Los Angeles Rams. MF, your thoughts?
Agreed. B, you got it. Look, potentially you gotta have to have a few land sides, particularly on the defensive side where Aaron Donald's going to be there to get edge rusher. Byron Young was absolutely what they needed, despite the departure of Leonard Floyd. And then you also got a pretty good project in Steve Alala, like you said, and then Stetson Bennett. Are you kidding me?
Mm-hmm.
The Rams got Stetson Bennett. Oh my God. Okay. This was a steal. This was a great move. And Stetson Bennett will easily become, he's the heir apparent now. With Matthew Stafford as the starter, Stetson Bennett can work behind Matthew, learn what he needs to do, and then give it maybe 2 or 3 years from now, Stetson Bennett will become the starter for the Rams. And when he does, if he plays like he played for Georgia with the national championship, those especially the final 2 years, Stetson Bennett will become a very good NFL player. This is another guy that has very much a lot of upside to his career that I think that going on the right team is going to help down the line. This was an absolute great pick. It's a solid B for me. And Anthony, it's yours.
All right, MF. Now it's the Las Vegas Raiders. And here's who they selected. Tyree Wilson, edge from Texas Tech. Young, defensive tackle, Alabama. Trey Tucker, wide receiver, Cincinnati. Jacorian Bennett, cornerback, Maryland. Aiden O'Connell, the quarterback from Purdue. Christopher Smith, safety from the maiden Georgia Bulldogs, the national champions. Amari Burney, linebacker from Florida. And Nesta Jade Silvera, defensive tackle, Arizona State. All right, MF, now it's the Las Vegas Raiders. What's your grade for them?
All right. It's like, I get it. I wonder what the Raiders were doing because they could have used the help on the O-line corner, yet they traded a 5th-round pick to move up to the 2nd round to get Michael Mayer, who is probably the best tight end who is the best tight end in the draft. And don't get me wrong,
Agreed.
I think he was great, but you signed Austin Hooper and OJ Howard to be a part of that team. Why? It made no sense. Any other team that needed a tight end this would have been a perfect spot to grab. The Raiders don't need him. That's a wasted pick in my eyes. And as far as it goes, when you're trying to fill gaps in certain areas, the Raiders did not address that. I'm sorry. I'm going to be very harsh right now. C- for the Las Vegas Raiders. Florio, it's yours.
Ooh, that's not good news for your good friend Ed Williams, who's a Raider fan. So, all right. It's going to be a slight disagreement here. Strong, prudent start faded into a strange finish for the Raiders in this draft. Wilson has all-pro upside, especially given that he won't begin his NFL career as the edge rusher, who will draw the most attention from offensive coordinators and offensive lines. Michael Mayer will fill the hole left by Darren Waller and comes with a super high floor. Young was a major reach in round 3. He simply doesn't have serious pass rush talent. Tucker from Cincinnati is a nifty, sneaky, explosive slot receiver who tracks it well, even when it's outside his frame. And I loved Bennett as a feisty inside-out corner. Last 4 picks were grabbed too early. All the guys should be mostly happy with this class. I'm going to be a little more generous on this one. B- for the Las Vegas Raiders. So, all right, MF, here you go. It's time now for your team, the Miami Dolphins. They only had 4 picks, and here they are. Cam Smith, cornerback, South Carolina. Devin Achaney, running back, Texas A&M. Elijah Higgins, a wide receiver / tight end from Stanford, and Ryan Hayes, offensive tackle out of Michigan. Another year with 4 draft picks from Miami, and they had nearly identical success as last year. Smith was high on my cornerback list. Awesome value in round 2, but was corner a huge need? Achaney was the most Mike McDaniel pick ever, and I can envision Higgins as a fun H-back type because of his chiseled frame and how it helps him clip through contact. Waiting on offensive line until round 7 was strange. But still, B+. B+ is my grade for good old MF Michael Fletcher and his Miami Dolphins. So, all right, MF, B+. How did your team do? How were you happy with their draft?
I was happy with the draft, and I get where a lot of people were wondering why the hell did they go with defense first. I was even thinking about it at first, but then I started hearing about how good he really is, Cam Smith, and how explosive he is and everything else. And the thing is that you never ever have enough corners, especially with Miami, because corners has been one of our biggest Achilles heels. Xavier Howard has had a tough time trying to stay on the field in the last few years. We got Jalen Ramsey. So you got 2 good guys there, and you can always have a third or a fourth. You always want to have a little bit of depth in that position. So I get why they did that. Then to get Davion Ache from Texas A&M. Now, I know what a lot of people are wondering. Why did they get that pick? Is that a change of pace back? Is that something? No. He might become our kick returner. He might become our kickoff guy and kick returner on punts and everything else. Even though we did get Barrios, we got Barrios that's definitely there for the Dolphins, and we also got Edmonds. Actually, Robbie Anderson. Well, I think what's his name then? Chance Anderson or something like that. He changed his name. I don't know what it is. But you got 3 guys that you can interchange with Miami for the kick returners. They're going to be explosive there. Then, of course, a lot of people were wondering about the Elijah Higgins. Now, a lot of people were like, wait a minute. Now, here's the interesting part. Higgins is actually being listed as a tight end, not wide receiver. I know a lot of people were wondering, was it tight end? Is it receiver? No, it's tight end. This is what we needed. We lost Mike Gesicki to the New England Patriots, and the thing was, if there was one guy that we needed a receiving tight end, a guy who can go get it, go up the field, and give us that opportunity. We found him. This is exactly what we needed. This was a perfect call. And then to get a tackle, Ryan Hayes at the end was actually what we needed. A stopgap guy that will be helpful for us at the end of the day. Miami did well. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't beautiful, but it served the purpose that we needed. Obviously, we're a little perturbed because we wanted more in the way of offensive help, meaning O-line and everything else. And I think we kind of were feeling like we should have gotten Michael Mayer. This is where we felt like we should have used that first pick to get Michael Mayer, the tight end from Notre Dame. If we would have gotten that, I think we would have gotten an A. For me, it is a B for the Miami Dolphins. I thought they did a good job, not great. It wasn't perfect, but they did a solid performance. So, Anthony, it's yours.
All right, MF, and you'll lead off on the next team, and that is the Minnesota Vikings. And here's who they selected. Jordan Addison, wide receiver, USC. Mekhi Blackman, cornerback, USC. Jay Ward, a cornerback out of LSU. Jacqueline Roy, defensive tackle, LSU. Jaron Hall, the quarterback from BYU. And Dwayne McBride, running back out of UAB. All right, MF, Minnesota, how'd they do?
Look, they didn't have that many picks. We knew it wasn't going to be a flashy. We knew it wasn't going to be perfect, but they could have done a lot better than this. I'm sorry. I wasn't really a big fan of Minnesota. As a matter of fact, I'm going to be a little harsh here. C plus. I thought they could have done a lot more better with the picks that they got, but they did fine for what it was worth. They did get Jordan Addison, the wide receiver, which I think was going to be great. Um, and then after that, there wasn't really that much there. I mean, um, they could have, they really did all right, but again, um, there wasn't really that many guys that really shocked me. Um, Maybe the Darnell Jones could be a starter coming out of the fourth round, but it's just a lot of cherry picks. Nothing that would have stood out that I would say, wow, that was great. No, for me, I hate to do it. C plus. Sorry, Floyo, go.
C plus. That's what you gave it. C plus.
Yep.
All right. Kwesi Odofu-Mensah pieced together a fine small class for the Vikings. Addison as the instant number 2 wideout will work in Justin Jefferson's offense. And Blackman was a favorite, natural ball hawk and sticky coverage type in the class. Ward and Roy were grabbed too early, but were sensible position selections for Minnesota. And I like the Hall pick late. And I love the McBride in round 7. He can outperform Alexander Madison early. Disagreement here. Solid B for the Minnesota Vikings. Next up, well, he's not here, but we're going to talk about his team anyway. Michael Bullock's team, the New England Patriots. Okay. Wide receiver from Liberty, Amir Speed, cornerback, Michigan State, and Isaiah Bolden, cornerback out of Jackson State. All right. Bill Belichick seems to always pick a mid-round offensive lineman who was a draft crush of many pungents out there. Gonzalez was snagged at nice, proper value at number 17 overall. He's the athletic man coverage specialist needed in New England secondary. White didn't do it for me whatsoever on film, but Mapu has major upside as a linebacker, although he's a lot like Kyle Duggar. So is an instant starter with Pro Bowl abilities right now. And I did not like a trade up in round 4 for a kicker. Boutte and Douglas were shrew receiver ads late because they excel underneath and after the catch. C plus is my grade for the New England Patriots. MF, good or bad news for Bullock?
Oh boy. I'm gonna say that for me, I'm gonna be a little more nicer than what you did. I thought it was a B minus. I thought they did really well. Obviously, Belichick just knows the system. He knows how to play this. He knows how to get everything that they need to get. And for me, I thought they did fine. Yeah, the kicker wasn't really one of my biggest points, but I will say this: getting cornerback Christian Gonzalez, who may be the best athlete Bill Belichick has ever coached in the cornerback position. And that says same things because remember, he has Stephen Gilmore and Ty Law in his career. So for me, look, the Patriots did what they had to do. They showed the Patriot way as a custom. So was it good? Yes. At least in my eyes, I thought they did good. So at the end of the day, I disagree with you. I got a B minus for the New England Patriots. So Florio, it's yours.
All right, next up, it's the New Orleans Saints, and here's who they selected. Brian Bresee, defensive tackle, Clemson. Isaiah Foskey, an edge from Notre Dame. Kendre Miller, running back, TCU. Nick Saldiveri, offensive tackle from Old Dominion, Jake Hayner, the quarterback from Fresno State, Jordan Howden, safety from Minnesota, and A.T. Perry, another quarterback out of Wake Forest. MF, 2 quarterback selections for New Orleans. Combine that with the rest of the picks, how did the New Orleans Saints do?
Head scratcher on the 2 quarterbacks. I don't understand why you would do such a thing like that. All in all, not a good draft. I'm sorry. I can't. I can only go C minus, or actually C plus for the New Orleans Saints. I thought they did all right with the first 2. I just did not like the fact that going with that at the end. I just don't understand why you go with 2 quarterbacks. I felt like that doesn't put a lot of confidence in the eyes of Derek Carr, who's now your starter. You want to give him confidence or to make him feel like, oh, this could be good. That's not going to help. That's not going to help at all. So I'm sorry. I thought they really messed up there. There's really nothing for me to say. So Florio, what's yours?
Yeah, big discrepancy with the Saints' first 2 selections. Bresci actually became undervalued in this class, but Foskey does not play to his testing figures and wasn't overly productive from a pressure rate perspective at Notre Dame. Seemed way too early for him. After that, all rock solid picks from New Orleans. Saldiveri has starter abilities. Hayner is a perfect Derek Carr backup. And Perry has some Michael Thomas flashes to him. B minus, slight disagreement, B minus for the New Orleans Saints. Now we go to the 2 New York teams, and we started off with Big Blue, the New York Giants. And here's who they selected. Deonte Banks, cornerback from Maryland. John Michael Schmitz, inside-outside linebacker from Minnesota. Jalen Hyatt, wide receiver, Tennessee. Eric Gray, running back, Oklahoma. Trey Hawkins, Oregon. And Gervarius Owens, a safety from Houston. Nice work again, Joe Schoen. He demonstrated amazing patience, letting Schmitz fall to him in the second round after snagging a prototype Wink Martindale corner in the first in Banks. There was aggression to pick Hyatt in the third, but that pick was made at the proper value. And Gray is a springy, versatile back to give more juice to the backfield after Saquon Barkley. B plus is my grade for Big Blue, the New York Giants. MF, what says you?
I disagree with you, Anthony, and because my grade is higher. I thought New York won the draft. I thought they were very good. I liked how they played it out. And, it definitely helped out in every facet of the game. I got an A minus for the New York Football Giants. So, Anthony, it's yours.
All right, the other New York team, Gang Green, the New York Jets, and here's who they selected. Will McDonald IV, edge from Iowa State. Joe Tippmann, OC from Wisconsin. Carter Warren, offensive tackle from Pittsburgh, along with Israel Abanikanda, running back also from Pittsburgh. Zaire Barnes, a linebacker from Western Michigan. Jarek Bernard Converse, cornerback from LSU. And Zach Kuntz, a tight end from Old Dominion. Of course, as you know, a week ago, the New York Jets also made news. They got their franchise quarterback. Aaron Rodgers is a New York Jet. Business picks up in the AFC East now that Aaron Rodgers is taking his talent to Gang Green. So MF, couple all that together. How did Gang Green? I know Gang Green was one of your big winners last year. How'd they do this year?
Not this year. Nope. They stepped back. I only got it as a C. I thought they did good with some of the picks, but again, if you're gonna rally around, Aaron Rodgers, wouldn't you think that you would give him, I don't know, an offensive line guy with your first round pick instead of going defense? And it's so weird for Green. It's so weird for Aaron Rodgers because the same thing that was happening to him year in and year out with the Green Bay Packers, and first year as a New York Jet, and it happened again. he doesn't even get anybody with that first round pick. It's like, what does he have to do to get help on his side of the line? Huh? I just feel like it was they did fill it up a little bit later on, but no receiving help, no real major factor, whole 9 yards, whatever you want to say. And this is supposed to be a Super Bowl contender. Maybe with the veterans and the guys that they're getting, but this draft class does not even scream Super Bowl for me. C is my rating for the New York Jets. Go for you.
Plenty of smart selections by General Manager Joe Douglas in this class. A collection also marked by a few head scratchers. McDonald is a good football player. He's explosive. He wasn't worth the 15th overall pick. Tippmann has upside, but was a bit too projecty to be the number 43 overall selection. Then Douglas heated up with Warren at offensive tackle, and one of my favorite picks in the entire class, Abani Kanda in round 5. Bernard, Converse, and Kuntz on day 3, gems. Disagreement here, solid B for the New York Jets. Next up, the first of our 2 Pennsylvania teams. And we started off with your reigning, defending, undisputed NFC champion Philadelphia Eagles. And here's who they selected. Jalen Carter, defensive tackle from the national champion made in Georgia Bulldogs, along with Nolan Smith, an edge, also from Georgia. Tyler Steen, offensive lineman from Alabama. Sidney Brown, a safety from Illinois. Kali Ringo, defensive back from the champion Georgia Bulldogs. Tanner McGee, a quarterback from the quarterback of Stanford. And Moro Ojomo, defensive tackle from Texas. We can't pretend the Carter pick comes without risk, but round 1 was as close to a dream come true as possible for Howie Roseman and the Eagles. For the life of me, I could not understand the hoopla around Steen all draft season, yet I love the Brown and Ringo selections later. It's one
I'm here, but I don't hear you, Florio. So that's why I don't know what's going on. All right, if this is my turn, then I guess I'll go.
Yes, it's Philly.
No, well, I knew that, but I couldn't hear you because you were cutting out. So that's why.
All right.
But I will say this. I mean, what Philadelphia did was absolutely disgusting. That was absolutely, are you kidding me? I mean, you literally heisted 2 of the best defensive guys on that lineup, on that team. And I'm sorry, but if anybody has any idea what they just did, I mean, all you just did was literally cement your place as the team to be in the NFC. And as a matter of fact, I'm even going to go one further. You just cemented yourself as the favorite to win the Super Bowl next year. That's what that is. It's an A. There's no doubts about it. This is an A. They won the draft. You want to know who won the draft? The Philadelphia Eagles won the freaking draft this year. Florio, it's yours.
And we go to the other Pennsylvania team, the Pittsburgh Steelers, and here's who they selected. Broderick Jones, offensive tackle, Georgia. Joey Porter Jr., cornerback, Penn State. Keanu Benton, defensive tackle from Wisconsin. Darnell Washington, tight end from the national champion Georgia Bulldogs. Nick Herbig, an edge from Wisconsin. Corey Trice, a cornerback from Purdue. And Spencer Anderson, offensive lineman from Maryland. All right, MF, Pittsburgh, how'd they do?
I like Pittsburgh's. B+ is the rating, and here's the reason why. First, you got to go with the Broderick Jones edition. That's a perfect guy that you need. That's going to cover Kenny Pickett. That's going to be a very good upside guy. Then to get Joey Porter Jr. Are you freaking kidding me on this one? This was wild. Uh, Everybody remember Joey Porter was a great linebacker for Green for Pittsburgh. Now his son is going to be a very good addition to the secondary. Then you get Darnell Washington, and you know Pittsburgh loves their tight ends. They love to use them in that middle of the field. Heath Miller, everybody, you remember how good he was back in the day with Pittsburgh, and I really love that. Then you got Keanu Britton, who's a very good defensive tackle. I know him really well, watching him from Wisconsin, another Big Ten guy. So for me, this was a solid B for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I thought they did very good with this draft. A few standout guys already, and guys that I do believe will be plug and plays on day one. So, Florio, it's yours.
Another one of my winners. Another one of the best draft classes of this year's draft. And it's easier and more succinct to tell you the picks that, I wasn't feeling, which was really just Herbig in round 4, Sutton Smith type. Jones will take time to acclimate to the pro game and play with more balance in pass pro. In a few years, he could be a franchise tackle. Porter, Benton, and Washington, love it. Trice and Anderson to finish, glorious. Well done, Omar Khan. Well done, my friend. Small disagreement, A- is my grade for the Pittsburgh Steelers and one of my winners of the draft. I think we have 4 teams left, or 5 teams left, rather. And next up, it's the Seattle Seahawks. And here's who the Seattle Seahawks selected. Devon Witherspoon, cornerback, Illinois. Jackson Smith-Njigba, wide receiver, Ohio State. Derek Hall, an edge from Auburn. Zach Charbonnet, running back, UCLA. Anthony Bradford, offensive line. Three spectacular picks to start for general manager John Schneider and head coach Pete Carroll. Although I wasn't as high on Witherspoon as the masses, and it didn't feel like a need so big to select that position at number 5 overall. Hall is going to be a star in Seattle. Strong pass move, relentless motor. Charbonnet is an NFL-ready feature back type, but Kenneth Walker, Bradford, and Oluwatimi will be rocks on the interior of what was a shoddy offensive line for a very long time. Solid B for the Seattle Seahawks. MF, what says you?
Just slight disagreement. I actually give B+ to the Seattle Seahawks, and it was exactly the same thing that you said. All the moves that they made were really good, and I really think that it'll definitely help them out down the line. So I really got nothing more to say. So, Anthony, it's yours.
All right, we got 14. We're on to the final 4 now, and here they are. Starting it off with the San Francisco 49ers. And here's who they selected. Jair Brown, safety from Penn State. Jake Moody, the kicker from Michigan. Cameron Latu, tight end, Alabama. Darrell Luter Jr., cornerback, South Alabama. Robert Beal, an edge from the champion Georgia Bulldogs. D. Winters, linebacker, TCU. Braden Willis, tight end, Oklahoma. Ronnie Bell, wide receiver from Michigan. And Jalen Graham, the linebacker out of Purdue. All right, MF, San Fran, how'd they do?
C-. Oh, actually, C+. I stand corrected, C+. They did all right. I mean, the only one even though I love Jake Moody and I love him because of being how clutch of a kicker he was for Michigan, but he should not have gotten drafted that high up. I mean, that was a major mistake. That was a bad call. John Lynch absolutely swung and missed on this one. I'm sorry. C+ is my rating, and Florio, is yours.
Small disagreement. I'll get to the grade in a minute. The Niner picks. Wow. This year, no different. At being perplexed by some of their picks, and because they were high on my list. Brown is a dynamic ball hawk who plays a lot more athletically than his workout. A kicker at number 99 overall, not the best allocation of a top 100 pick. Latu was sluggish on film, didn't understand that selection at all, but Luter right after, tremendous. He's a starter with Pro Bowl upside. Willis and Bell in the 7th round were classic yard after catch and carry base 49er picks. Small disagreement, B- for San Francisco. Next up, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and here's who they selected. Kalijah Cansey, defensive tackle out of Pittsburgh. Cody Mauch, offensive lineman, North Dakota State. Yaya Diaby, edge from Louisville. Servosier Dennis, linebacker from Pittsburgh. Payne Durham, a tight end from Purdue. Josh Hayes, defensive back, Kansas State. Trey Palmer, wide receiver, Nebraska. And Jose Ramirez, an edge from Eastern Michigan. The Buccaneers are kind of sort of in need of a rebuild, and that construction got off to a good start with this class. Not amazing, but a sturdy foundation. Cansey and Mauch don't boast traditional size. They're impeccable athletes who will give life to the interior of their respective sides of the line. Diaby's more freaky specimen than disruptive rusher, and Dennis is an authoritative tackler who has trouble covering. Big fan of the Durham, Palmer, and Ramirez picks late. Keep tabs on that last pick. Solid B for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. MF, your thoughts?
Slight disagreement. B- is my rating, and it's like you said. There's promising speed all over from the trenches, of course, with their top pick, with Kenny, and then with Palmer late in the 2nd round guard. It has a colorful prospect that they'll find, but they used the 3rd day to upgrade depth on both sides of the ball. And they did all right more than anything else. I can say this was a B-. So, Floyd, what's yours?
All right, 2 teams left, and next up it is the Tennessee Titans. And the Tennessee Titans, with their selections, selected Peter Skoronski, offensive lineman, Northwestern. Will Levis, the quarterback from Kentucky. Tyjae Spears, running back from Tulane. Josh Wiley, tight end, Cincinnati. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, it just, like I said, sometimes it cuts in and out on me. It's like I hear you a lot, and then it just drops. But but I got you. C+ is my rating for the Tennessee Titans. They did all right. I mean, I love the fact that they really try to focus offensive at the very beginning. But some of the decisions that they made, I just don't feel like it's really gonna help. But even the Colin Donnell, he's a really good wide receiver, but with everything that's happening and with every possible position that you can try to fight for, he might not even make the team. And he's a really good receiver. I don't know. I kind of felt like they could have done better in certain areas. So for me, C+, Anthony, it's yours.
Yeah, somewhat of a weird start with Skoronski. I was a touch lower on than most for an offense that desperately needs playmakers. The Levis pick in round 2 was awesome, even though many soured on him late in the process. The value in round 2 cannot be ignored. Spears and Duncan can become key pieces to the offense. Smooth athletes with intricate position-specific skills, B- for the Tennessee Titans. And now we are on our final team of the night, and that is the Washington Commanders. And here's who they selected. Emmanuel Forbes, cornerback, Mississippi State. Jatavius Martin, safety from Illinois. Brian Robinson Jr., running back from Alabama. Ricky Stromberg, an OC from Arkansas. Braden Daniels, offensive tackle from Utah. KJ Henry, an edge from Clemson. Chris Rodriguez, the running back from Kentucky. And Andre Jones, an edge from Louisiana. Forbes was picked around too early, in my thought. but I'm a sucker for playmakers, and Forbes is certainly that. Although he did allow a fair amount of grabs in his coverage vicinity, it wasn't just all pick sixes. Martin is a stud defensive back, and Stromberg and Daniels can factor in early if they improve their balance, which can come with not leaning into as many blocks. Good for the Commanders to address the trenches when they did. Rodriguez is a rocked-up battering ram. Good value late at that running back spot. B- is my grade for the Washington Commanders. MF, take it home.
Yeah, when it comes to Washington, you know what? I gotta say it. I'm actually in an agreement. B-. Yeah, so like you said, I thought they did a really good job with the way that they handled the situation, especially towards the end. So for me, B- is my rating as well. Anthony, let's call it a night.
Let's call it a night. And with that, that puts the bow on this 2023 NFL Draft Recap edition of TXN Sports World. We want to thank you all so very much for tuning in and listening as always. We'll be back with you tomorrow night, 10:30 over on MF's channel, Braves Fan 95. Special start time at 10:30 for another edition of the Cerebral Smack Talk Big Show. We got AEW Rampage. Then we got Friday Night SmackDown from Puerto Rico. Oh, by the way, the Go Home Show for Backlash. We'll also preview the Backlash pay-per-view, and then we'll wrap it up with the Game 3 edition of the Celtics Chat for the Boston Celtics and the Philadelphia 76ers. And then from there, Sunday night, 10 p.m., MF will be on there again for our recap of Backlash, as well as the Game 4 edition of the Celtics Chat. And then Monday night, we have Ridiculously Raw. The new draft rosters going into order, and all the fallout from Backlash, and we begin the road to Saudi Arabia and Night of Champions for Monday Night Raw, our Raw review, and of course my Tony's take on Impact Wrestling and NXT Level Up. Impact Wrestling, especially interesting now that they got Trinity, aka Naomi. So I'll get into that. And then on Wednesday, we got Wednesday Night Madness with MF. That will be NXT and AEW Dynamite as usual, and of course, we will also Blue City Chiefs will be opening up their Super Bowl title defense against. And of course, all the other action, the holidays, including who will be celebrating Turkey Day the ravishing way, and so many more. So that'll be 1 week from tonight, our NFL schedule release special. I cannot wait. I look forward to this beyond anything else during the off season every year. So MF, you had your fun tonight. Next week, my fun, baby. Love the schedule release show. I always look forward to it every year. So that's it. So until tomorrow night for the Cerebral Smack Talk over on MF's channel, Braves Fan 95, with Anthony Florio here for good old MF, Michael Fletcher, and in spirit, Michael Bullock, and of course, always and forever, the First Lady, Dee Dee Woodson. You know the routine, everybody. Thumbs up. Talk to you later. Yeah. Lord of Fortune Force style. Bye for now, my friends. God bless. Be good to each other. Have a blessed Friday, and until tomorrow night for the Cerebral Smack Talk, you've been watching our special 2023 NFL Draft Recap edition of TXN Sports World right here on the Tone 25 on YouTube and StreamYard.com. For everybody who's been a part of this one, for now, Anthony Florio. So long. Bye, everybody. Bye.